Another day of rain. This is the 4th day of rain that we've had. So right now I got my waterproof case on my GoPro camera. I really do like this GoPro. But that being said, I have to use my phone to record my voice, because not only does the waterproof case keep water out, it keeps the sound out quite a bit also. So I have to match the sound up with my lips in editing. It's not hard to do. So it's rained 4 days. The first day it rained just a gully washer all night long, and then it rained the next night. And then yesterday it started raining, and it has just rained nonstop, this constant sprinkle of rain. So first of all, I want to apologize if you see water spots on the camera. Please just accept that's what it is. I'm out here in the rain. I think it's kind of neat. A couple days ago, I showed you that the ground is just saturated. Can't use the well right now because the well water is dirty. On these really big gully washers, or when the ground is absolutely saturated, this old well, the groundwater seeps down into the well water and gets it dirty. All the repairs that I have made to it has made this thing 80% better. But during the springtime, it's a real struggle. We had a struggle last spring, just one time, but that's when I did all the repairs, was in the spring. And then we have this spring we've had some troubles. But not normally, 80% of the time, I don't even think about it. Don't have to worry about it. It just doesn't rain that much throughout the rest of the year. So, Carolyn and I have been in water conservation mode. I filled the tank up right before it started this rain. So we have 275 gallons of clean, fresh drinking water. So the water is pumped from the well, which is clean. It's not right now, but it was when we did it. And all I got to do is wait 2 days after the rain stops. Then the groundwater pretty much is not saturated. And then I just pump it out twice or 3 times. Then the water becomes clean. Then I can filter the water, which is another step in the cleaning process. Then I put it in the tank, put some chlorine in it. That keeps the algae out of it, kills any bacteria maybe in the water. Of course, if we drink it, then we Berkey our water. So that's another step in filtration. If we boil the water, like in coffee, we don't use Berkey water for coffee. And I really like our system. I mean, I wish the well was a little bit better off. But when you think about it, we spent $4,200 on this property. It's got well with constant supply of water. But the thing is when it does get dirty like this, we can't use it. So we go into this conservation mode this last time around, and it's quite amazing what we've accomplished. And I think what we've done here, we will probably continue to do. Our toilet, we use the tank water to flush with. It's a modified RV toilet where you open up the ball valve and the water, your sewage goes down. Now, I have not showed you anything about our sewage since I was turned in by this person in California. I guess that was 2 years ago now. The code enforcement guy had to come out and check our system and make sure we weren't dumping water into the creek. That's what the California person said. So the conservation guy and I kind of agreed that I wouldn't talk about our sewage system anymore. Hopefully keep the subscribers from turning us in. And he was satisfied. I mean, we weren't doing anything wrong. We definitely weren't dumping it in the creek. We were burning it at the time because we were living in the camper. So, but in the end, we used quite a bit of water. Not as much as your toilet at home. Your toilet, even if you have an efficiency toilet, probably still uses maybe a gallon of water, I think is what it uses. Ours, a quart, it might use a quart of water. And then when I turn the well on, I can flush out the system a little bit better, just to make sure everything got pumped down into the septic tank. But now that we have dirty water coming out of the well, I don't want to use up all our clean water flushing the toilet. So what Carolyn and I have been doing is I've been filling up these buckets of water with dirty well water. And it's brown looking right now. Of course, when I get it flushed out, it'll be fine. And then I take the bucket of water into the house, and we can take a coffee can, and we can dump our water from the dirty bucket water into the toilet. And it doesn't hurt anything. That is saving us a ton of water from our IBC tank, our fresh, clean water. So that means the only thing that we're using the water for is dishes, Berkey, and showers. And of course, when you're limited on water, you take what's called a Navy shower. That means that you wet down, you shut the water off, then you soap up, and then you can rinse off. Now, what I also did was I put a bucket kind of underneath me while I was showering. That way we collect all that shower water. Also, we can use that for the toilet. So all this water, it's just gray water. It doesn't stink, it's just soapy water, and we can flush the toilet with it. Actually, a lot of people do that live off-grid. Have this system where they can cycle their shower water into a gray water tank, and then they can flush their toilet with that gray water. So that's kind of where we got the idea, except ours is just real primitive. We just collect the water from a bucket. It's conserving the amount of clean fresh water that we have in the tank until I can get the pump up and running again, which should be, this is I think Thursday. By Sunday, we'll be able to fill the tank. So it's only been about a week. I mean, it's not an extreme amount of time. But even if at that were to fail, we could still go down to, we have a natural spring down the road from us. And we could collect a lot of water from that natural spring. I've taken you down there before. Now, I am okay with natural spring water, but it's not as good as the well water. Here's how I know. When we were nomads, there was 2 different locations that we collected spring water from. And don't get me wrong, it's great water, but when you berkeyed it, it would clog the berkey up in about a week. And then you got to clean it. With the well here, I only clean the berkey maybe every 6 months. So the berkey is being used more and is wearing out faster. So a berkey should last about 6 years with normal use. But when we were nomads, we'd go through a berkey filter about every year. You know, that's a backup plan. But again, we could use that water down there at the spring to wash our hands and flush the toilets and that kind of thing. As a matter of fact, the water that I'm collecting out of the well, I've been washing my hands with. I mean, it's just brown looking. I wouldn't want to take a shower with it. But as far as washing your hands, I don't see any problems with that. And you put a little hand sanitizer on afterwards, just in case there's some bacteria on your hands. Now, of course, anytime I talk about water, somebody will say, you should start rainwater collection. And again, I've done that before. When we were nomads, we had to collect rainwater when we were at North Rim Grand Canyon. We were 150 miles away from any place that would give water, you know, we could get water from. There was a little grocery store up there that you could buy it from, but that was even quite a distance. But there's several disadvantages to collecting rainwater. First of all, you're not getting any minerals out of that water. It's soft water. And your body needs minerals, so you'd have to figure out how to supplement that if that's what you're going to drink. The other thing that you'd have to think about is it's very dirty, a lot more dirty than the spring water or the well water. So to me, it doesn't even make sense. I have clean, fresh water coming out of that well 80% of the year. Rainwater would always be dirty, and I'd always have to filter it. Remember, the more dirt you have to filter out, the more you'll have to buy filters. That's one of the things that I'm trying to avoid now with the well, is I don't want to have to run that dirty water through the filters. It'll just clog it up. And quite quickly too. I may get 200 gallons out of it before it clogs up. Same thing would happen with your rainwater. Roofs are dirty. And then you got the bird droppings, and I mean, it's just not clean water, so you got to clean it. You'd have to put bleach in it, which is another advantage to what we're doing right now with the flushing of the water, is we do bleach our IBC tank so there's no moss growing in it. Well, the water that we're using for the toilet, we don't have to bleach. So we bleach it, and then we berkey it or boil it, so it's really sanitized, but that toilet water just doesn't matter. Well, then there's another component to rainwater, is here in Missouri, it rains the most in the springtime. You'll get quite a bit of rain in the fall, but not near as much as in the spring. Summer, you're going to get hardly any rain. In the wintertime, you'll get some snow, but not a lot. It snowed 3 times this year, but it wasn't enough to really even fill an IBC tank, I wouldn't think. So you'd have to have a huge roof space. Of course, we live in a tiny house, so we don't have a huge roof space. So the only thing we'd have is the tiny house, the well, the camper, and the chicken coops to get water from. And then you'd have to have, like, I don't know, 25 IBC tanks maybe. I've never done the calculations on how much water we actually use. But you'd have to have a huge storage system to get you from spring to fall, even if you could get enough rainwater in the fall, and then back into spring. So let's just say 25 IBC tanks. So they're $100 a piece. So there's $2,500 plus all the guttering, and you probably have to get more roof space so that you'd have enough water collected on your roof. And then storage in the winter, I think, is probably going to be the most difficult thing. I'd have to have a way to move the IBC tanks. You got 25 of them, so you'd fill one up, you move it, store it, bring another one up. And then the tank that's empty, you would have to move, bring it up, and then you're going to freeze. It's going to freeze. So you got to figure out how to thaw it out. So right now, I don't have a freezing problem. My well, I've designed so all the water empties out of the pipe. So it can't freeze. There's no water in it to freeze. And then with the tank, I have my wood stove, ventilation pumping into the tank house. And so this last winter, it didn't freeze. We had water all year, no problems. Never got below freezing. So you'd have to somehow figure out how to thaw it out. It's going to take a few days for that water to thaw out, even if you could find a way to get a massive amount of heat on it. Even if you put it in the house, it would take several days. So you'd be out of water for those few days. To me, it just seems like a lot of inconvenience trying to do all that when I have two sources of water right now and a good storage system that I can go about 2 weeks without having to even worry about water. And then if let's say the well pump stopped on me, I just didn't have a choice. I still got the natural spring that I can get water from. I have solar power that can run this on a sunny day. And then I have the generator. And then I have a backup generator that also has 2 fuel sources. So if the gas station wasn't open, I could still use propane for a while. So I figure my system is pretty top of the line for an off-grid property. So if you will, I'd appreciate it if you click the up next box here, take you over to the other channel, watch a funny video. So I hope I can inspire you to plan out your needs so you can live your dream. Thanks for watching.